Let's begin with the breaking news. Hurricane Maria killed thousands more than initially reported. That according to a new study commissioned by the government of Puerto Rico. Researchers from George Washington University here in Washington, those researchers say the correct death toll should be 2,975. That's up from just 64. Let's go to our correspondent, Layla Santiago. She's here in Washington. She's over at George Washington University. Layla, you've been doing a lot of excellent reporting on all of this. This is a massive, massive change. And remember, these are all U.S. citizens we're talking about. Update our viewers. What can you tell us?
Well, I just finished talking to the two lead researchers on this study, and the big question now, Wolf, okay, this study commissioned by Puerto Rico has found 2,975 to be the number of excess deaths, but will the government of Puerto Rico now take this study, now take this number and make it the official death toll? I have reached out to the government several hours now, waiting on their response. They have not given that yet, but I want to make clear exactly what this is. Again, 2,975 is what they believe is the excess in deaths over what they believe would be average at this point had Hurricane Maria not gone by Puerto Rico, not destroyed Puerto Rico. But this is not a list of nearly 3,000 deaths that they have causes for that they believe to be Hurricane Maria related. So for many of the families who are hoping for some sort of closure, for some sort of help financially by being counted, they will not be getting this from the statistical analysis. One of the things I asked one of the researchers, you know, there have been other studies. You and I both, Wolf, have reported on the Harvard study that came out a few months ago that believed it was about 4,000 deaths. Our own investigation, which revealed back then in November that there were hundreds of people who died related to Hurricane Maria. So what made this different? And the researchers say that what made this different was that they had access to cooperation from the government of Puerto Rico, access to information that the other studies did not have. Now, this study, the researchers say, is not all the way complete. This is only phase 1. They want to do a phase 2, which would then go and talk to the families, talk to more people, possibly get that list of names and have a better understanding of what happened. But they also highlighted some of the trends, some of the things that they say could be used in the future to prevent deaths. They said particularly vulnerable were old men in areas that were poor in Puerto Rico, that they saw more deaths than that, about a 60% increase in deaths among that population. They also talked about lack of communication between healthcare and government officials, local municipality officials, central and federal government officials. They really did highlight some discrepancies in filling out death certificates and how doctors were not formally trained on how to do that, and how that could lead in such a gap where today we stand at an official government death toll of 64, while this study stands at nearly 3,000. But again, Wolf, the very big question, the next step in this is finding out, will the government of Puerto Rico change that death toll to reflect this number? When this study was officially commissioned, I specifically asked the governor of Puerto Rico that question. He told me that he would be accepting those findings. I have not had that response today. Waiting on that, Wolf.
We're waiting on that. Just for some perspective, it was almost exactly 13 years ago this week that Hurricane Katrina wound up killing about 1,800 Americans in New Orleans and elsewhere along the Gulf Coast. 1,800, now close to 3,000 in Puerto Rico. Layla, we will stay in touch with you. When you get the word from the governor, we'll, of course, put that on the air right away. Layla Santiago is in Washington with this really stunning report.